Hey everyone, I'm here to help you relax and drift off tonight. If you enjoy using these videos to fall asleep, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more calming content. Share where you're watching from and what time it is for you. I'd love to know. Now settle into a cozy spot, take a deep breath, and let's start unwinding together. At the edge of a small, forgotten town stood an ancient house shrouded in mystery. Its walls, weathered by time and whispered secrets, held an uncanny power. Every person who crossed its threshold left an indelible mark upon its soul. No one knew exactly when the house had first been built or by whose hands, only that it had watched over generations, silently chronicling the laughter, the tears, and every fleeting moment of human existence. In its creaking floors and worn wooden beams lay the memories of all who had ever entered, each one waiting patiently to be recalled when the time was right. On a crisp autumn morning, Mara, a quiet librarian with a gentle curiosity about life's mysteries, discovered a faded envelope tucked between the pages of an old book in the library's archives. The envelope bore no return address and was marked only with a single word in elegant script: welcome. Inside, a hand-drawn map and a brief note read, "Come home to the house. It remembers you." Though Mara's heart fluttered with trepidation, she could not resist the call of the unknown. Driven by an inner longing she had long forgotten, she set out to find the place described by the map. The path led her through winding country lanes, past murmuring creeks and ancient groves. Each step seemed to echo with the voices of those who had once trod the same ground. Finally, as the late afternoon sun bathed the landscape in a warm golden glow, Mara arrived at a wrought iron gate, rusted with age, before a sprawling manor embraced by ivy and moss. The house, with its tall, arched windows and intricate stone carvings, exuded a quiet dignity, as if it held the secrets of centuries within its walls. Hesitantly, Mara pushed open the heavy gate and walked up the gravel path. The air grew still and hushed as she reached the front door. A large oak portal adorned with delicate carvings of leaves and symbols whose meanings she could not decipher. With a deep breath, she turned the tarnished knob and stepped inside. The foyer was bathed in soft, dappled light that filtered through stained glass windows. A warm, almost tangible presence enveloped her as she moved further into the house. Almost immediately, she sensed that she was not alone. The walls, polished by the passage of countless hands, seemed to shimmer faintly as if stirred by distant recollections. With every step, Mara felt a subtle stirring in her soul, a recognition of forgotten fragments of her own past. In one corner, a dusty mirror reflected not just her own image, but fleeting shadows of faces and moments she couldn't quite place. The house, it seemed, was welcoming her back to a home she had never known she'd lost. As Mara explored the winding corridors, she discovered rooms filled with relics of lives once lived. In one chamber, a grand piano stood silent yet dignified. When she approached, a single key pressed itself, releasing a gentle, melancholic note that resonated deep within her. In another room, faded photographs hung on the walls. Images of smiling families, solitary wanderers, and children whose eyes sparkled with hope. Yet these were not ordinary photographs. As Mara observed, the images shifted subtly, as if the moments captured were still unfolding before her eyes. Every surface in the house told a story. The worn rug in the entry hall, frayed at the edges, seemed to bear the footprints of those who had danced and hurried through these rooms. A grandfather clock, its pendulum swinging with a steady rhythm, ticked in time with the heartbeat of the building itself. The deeper Mara ventured, the more she began to feel that the house was alive. A living archive that not only remembered every visitor, but was eager to share its memories with them. In a sunlit library at the heart of the house, Mara met an enigmatic figure known only as Elias, the caretaker and, as he explained, the keeper of memories. Elias was a man of indeterminate age, with eyes that sparkled with both sorrow and joy. Dressed in a simple time-worn suit, he greeted Mara with a nod of familiarity, as if he had long awaited her arrival. "Welcome, Mara," he said in a soft, resonant voice. "This house has been waiting for you. It remembers every soul that walks through its doors, and now it has remembered you." Perplexed yet comforted by his words, Mara sat with Elias as he recounted the legend of the house. Centuries ago, a visionary artisan, heartbroken by the loss of his beloved, had built the house as a sanctuary for memories, a place where every laugh, every tear, every whispered secret could be preserved and cherished. The house was designed to absorb the essence of its visitors, creating a tapestry of intertwined lives and shared experiences. Over time, it had become a silent witness to humanity, a repository of the past that could, on occasion, offer guidance for the future. Elias led Mara through the library's labyrinthine shelves, where ancient books and scrolls detailed the myriad histories of the house. As they walked, he paused before a particularly ornate tome bound in faded leather. "Here lie the memories of those who have found solace within these walls," he said, gently tracing the embossed title. "Each memory is a thread in the vast tapestry of life, and every thread is significant." Late that evening, after a modest supper in a cozy dining room, lit by flickering candlelight, Mara retired to a guest room prepared for her. The room was modest yet filled with an inexplicable warmth. As she settled into a creaking bed, the silence of the night was broken only by the soft murmur of the wind outside. Soon sleep claimed her, and in her dreams the house began to speak. In the dream, Mara wandered through corridors that twisted and turned impossibly, their walls alive with shimmering images. Faces of strangers and loved ones alike appeared, each image vibrant and real. One moment, she saw a young child laughing with unbridled joy. The next, an elderly woman wept softly by a window as memories of lost love cascaded around her. The house was not simply recalling moments, it was weaving them together into a grand narrative that transcended time. When Mara awoke at dawn, she felt as though she had experienced lifetimes in a single night. The dream lingered in her mind, a mosaic of emotions and impressions. In the soft light of morning, she ventured into the hallway, where she noticed that the walls were no longer plain. Faint inscriptions like delicate carvings etched by an unseen hand had appeared. They formed words and phrases, a brief poem here, a poignant message there. As Mara read them aloud, the echoes of past voices seemed to join her, each syllable resonating with memories both personal and collective. In the days that followed, the house revealed its remarkable nature to not only Mara, but to others who were drawn to its silent allure. One by one, visitors arrived, a solitary traveler burdened by regret, a young artist searching for inspiration, a grieving parent in mourning for a lost child, and even a retired teacher with a lifetime of stories yearning to be shared. Each visitor carried with them a unique past, and the house in turn etched their stories into its very fabric. Mara began to observe how the house responded to each new presence. In one room, the polished wood of a desk shimmered with the imprint of a scholar's fervent scribblings, while in another, the soft rustle of a curtain recalled a whispered promise of eternal hope. The house seemed to know the deepest corners of each heart, a gentle witness to every secret smile, every tearful goodbye. Late one afternoon, as golden sunlight filtered through dusty windows, Mara found herself in a vast drawing room where visitors had gathered for an impromptu sharing of stories. In hushed voices, they recounted the moments that the house had revived within them. A traveler spoke of a long-forgotten childhood memory of a tree under which he once played. An artist described how a sudden vision in a quiet corner of the house had sparked an entirely new creative work, and the grieving parent, with tearful eyes, recounted how the house had brought back a single, bittersweet memory of laughter and warmth from a time when joy had not yet been eclipsed by loss. Together, these shared recollections began to form a chorus of voices that resonated throughout the mansion. It was as if the house itself was conversing with them, its walls humming with the energy of every story, every memory, every heartbeat. Mara listened intently, realizing that she was not an isolated soul in her search for meaning. She was part of a vast, intricate tapestry that spanned time and space, woven together by the collective experiences of those who had passed through these sacred halls. One crisp evening, as twilight melted into the inky blue of night, Mara found herself drawn to a secluded alcove at the far end of a long corridor. There, in the quiet solitude, the house revealed one of its most intimate secrets. Before her eyes, the faded wallpaper began to shift and swirl, and a vision emerged, a montage of memories not her own, yet achingly familiar. She saw a young woman laughing in a sunlit garden, her eyes bright with hope. A man bidding farewell at a bustling train station, his silhouette framed by the glow of departing daylight. A pair of hands intertwined in a moment of quiet love before time carried them apart. Each vision was rendered in vivid detail, the emotions as palpable as if they were happening before her very eyes. In that moment, Mara understood that the house did not merely store memories, it relived them. It allowed the past to breathe, to speak, to offer guidance for the present. In the soft murmur of the shifting walls, Mara began to recognize her own story among the many threads. A long-forgotten memory of childhood wonder, of a secret hideaway under a sprawling oak tree, flickered into view. The pain of lost innocence and the joy of rediscovered dreams intermingled, stirring emotions that had lain dormant for years. With trembling hands, she reached out, as if to grasp that elusive fragment of her past. And in doing so, she felt a profound healing, as though the house were mending wounds that had festered in silence for far too long. One rainy afternoon, when the world outside was blurred by sheets of water and the sky wept in unison with the house's own murmurs, Elias sought Mara out in the library. His eyes, filled with a melancholy that resonated with the pattering of the rain, met hers with an unspoken urgency. "There is a time when the house must share its deepest truth," he began softly. "Long ago, its creator imbued it with not only the memories of those who enter, but also with the wisdom to heal. Each memory is a reminder that even the most painful moments can lead to growth, that every loss carries within it the seed of renewal." Elias confessed that the house had once been a place of solace during times of great despair, a refuge where those burdened by grief and regret could find the courage to forgive themselves and move forward. But he continued, "With each passing soul, the house accumulates not only light but also shadows. It is up to us, the keepers of its legacy, to honor both the joy and the sorrow, for it is only in embracing the totality of our experiences that we can truly be whole." Moved by his words, Mara began to see the house not as an inert structure, but as a living, breathing entity, a guardian of memories that could guide one through the labyrinth of life. In the silent communion between Elias and herself, she resolved to share the healing gifts of the house with those who might one day find themselves lost in the depths of their own histories. As the seasons turned, the visitors came and went, each leaving behind fragments of their lives that the house wove into its eternal tapestry. Mara, now deeply connected to the soul of the mansion, became a gentle guide for those seeking solace and understanding. In quiet moments, she would sit by the grand fireplace in the central hall, its flames dancing in rhythm with whispered memories, and listen to the murmurs that emanated from the walls. In one such moment, a young musician arrived, a wanderer whose eyes carried both a sparkle of possibility and the weight of unspoken loss. Over a cup of steaming tea, Mara listened as the musician recounted the story of a long-lost melody, one that had once brought hope to a weary heart. Moved by the recollection, Mara led the musician to a secluded parlor where, on a delicate antique desk, the faint impressions of countless names and dates were etched into the wood. There, the musician found the inspiration to compose a new song, a melody that echoed with the voices of those who had come before, a harmonious tribute to the endless cycle of remembrance and rebirth. The house, in its silent wisdom, allowed each visitor to uncover the parts of themselves that had been long hidden. In its grand, echoing halls, memories intermingled, moments of unbridled joy, heart-wrenching sorrow, quiet wonder, and fierce determination. Each memory, no matter how small, was a vital note in the symphony of human existence, and the house cherished them all equally. Over the years, the house underwent a quiet transformation of its own. New rooms appeared where there had once been only empty corridors. Secret passageways opened to reveal hidden chambers, filled with relics from ages past. The walls, once static and unyielding, seemed to breathe as they absorbed new memories, expanding to hold the weight of every passing moment. It became clear that the house was not merely a repository of the past, it was an evolving testament to the human spirit. Mara found herself wandering these newly formed corridors with a sense of awe and reverence. In one such corridor, she discovered a room bathed in a gentle, otherworldly glow. There, the very air shimmered with the colors of dawn and dusk, and on the walls, the names and faces of countless souls danced in a silent, eternal celebration. Standing in the center of that room, Mara felt both infinitesimal and profoundly connected, a single thread in a vast, interwoven fabric of memory and life. It was in this luminous space that she met a figure from her past, a kindred spirit whose memory had been all but forgotten. In the tender reunion, Mara realized that the house did more than remember. It healed, it reunited, and it transformed isolation into communion. Each encounter in the house was a reminder that no one was ever truly alone, that every soul carried within it the echoes of all who had come before. One misty morning, as winter's chill gave way to the gentle promise of spring, Mara prepared to leave the house for a time. Though her heart ached at the thought of departing this sanctuary of memories, she understood that life's journey demanded that one venture beyond even the most cherished havens. Before she stepped out through the grand oak door one final time, Elias presented her with a small, intricately carved wooden token, a symbol of the house's everlasting remembrance. "Carry this with you," he whispered, "and know that no matter where life leads, the house will remember you. Your story is forever woven into its walls." With that, Mara walked away, each step echoing with both the sorrow of farewell and the hope of reunion. In her heart, she knew that the house, with its infinite capacity to hold and honor memories, would remain a beacon of healing and guidance. And though she left its physical embrace, the essence of the house would continue to accompany her, a silent, ever-present reminder that every person who enters leaves a piece of themselves behind. Decades later, the legend of the house had spread far beyond the borders of the small town. Travelers, seekers, and souls burdened by the weight of their pasts journeyed from distant lands, drawn by tales of a sanctuary where every heart was remembered. The house, now a revered monument to the enduring power of memory, continued to evolve, a living archive that bore witness to the ceaseless flow of human life. Mara, now older and wiser, often returned to the house, each visit a pilgrimage of remembrance. Sitting in the quiet solace of its ancient halls, she would trace the names etched into the worn wood, smile at the echoes of laughter and love, and shed tears for the sorrows that had once threatened to overwhelm her. In every creak of the floorboards and every whisper of the wind, she heard the voice of the house, an eternal promise that every moment mattered, Every life was significant, and every memory was cherished. The house had become more than a structure of stone and wood. It was a sacred monument to the human spirit, a repository where the past, present, and future converged in a harmonious dance of light and shadow. Its legacy was written in the memories of all who had entered, a testament to the beauty of shared experience and the transformative power of remembrance. And so, as twilight settled over the horizon and the first stars began to twinkle in the vast canvas of the night sky, the house stood silently, patiently awaiting the next soul to cross its threshold. For in the endless tapestry of life, every story, every memory, and every heartbeat found a home within its loving, ever-watchful walls. In a quiet corner of the city, where the mist of early dawn mingled with the soft glow of street lamps, a battered leather-bound journal rested on a neglected shelf in an ancient bookshop. No one remembered when it had arrived there, or from whence it came. Its cover, etched with faded symbols and intricate filigree, whispered of secrets and forgotten lore. Yet what made it truly remarkable was not the craftsmanship of its binding, but the quiet magic it possessed, a magic that would soon change the life of one unsuspecting soul. Amelia had always been drawn to forgotten places. A writer by heart and a collector of oddities by nature, she spent her weekends wandering through old markets and dusty libraries. On a rainy afternoon, as the sky wept and the world softened in a watery haze, Amelia sought refuge in an old bookshop tucked away between modern storefronts. The air was thick with the scent of old paper and memories. Shelves groaned under the weight of countless volumes, and each book seemed to hum with untold stories. Amelia's gaze was arrested by a peculiar object lying on a shelf in a shadowed alcove, a journal that appeared almost too delicate to survive the passage of time. Its cover, darkened with age, bore a single embossed symbol, a crescent moon cradling a star. Intrigued, she reached out and brushed her fingers over the worn leather. The moment her skin made contact, a subtle warmth radiated from the journal, as if it recognized a kindred spirit. Without a second thought, she purchased the journal and carried it home, unaware that it was already beginning to awaken. That night, under the soft glow of her desk lamp, Amelia opened the journal. Expecting to find empty pages awaiting her own words, she was startled to see faint, silvery script shimmering on the paper. The handwriting was elegant and archaic, as though penned by an unseen hand with care and precision. The first entry read, "Memories, long buried in the depths of the heart, arise unbidden. In this quiet space, the forgotten speaks, and the lost finds voice." As she flipped through the pages, more entries began to materialize, each one a snippet of a moment, a fragment of a life once lived but now obscured by time. There were descriptions of a summer day filled with laughter and the scent of wildflowers, a painful farewell under a rain-soaked sky, and even a secret rendezvous under the silver light of a full moon. Each passage evoked emotions that Amelia had felt before, yet could not place, as if they belonged to someone else entirely, or perhaps to herself. At first, she thought her mind was playing tricks on her, but as days passed, the journal continued to write itself, filling with memories that seemed to call to her soul. The words danced across the pages, ever shifting, as if the journal were a living entity recording memories that had been long forgotten. Amelia's nights turned into a tapestry of dreams and waking recollections. The journal's entries began to merge with her own memories, blurring the line between what was real and what was imagined. One entry, penned on a page edged with a shimmering silver border, recounted a childhood picnic in a sun-dappled meadow. A day so vivid that Amelia could almost taste the sweet tang of lemonade and feel the warmth of the sun on her skin. In another entry, she read about a lost friend whose laughter once filled endless summer nights. The memory of this friend, whom she had forgotten as the years turned to distant echoes, stirred a deep longing in her heart. Each entry, though written in an unfamiliar hand, evoked a sensation of déjà vu, as if the journal were uncovering parts of her life she had sealed away. Driven by curiosity, Amelia began to record her own thoughts beside the mysterious inscriptions, creating a dialogue between her present self and the echoes of a past that had once been so clear. With every entry, she discovered hidden corridors within her mind, rooms filled with forgotten dreams, regrets, and moments of inexplicable beauty. As weeks turned into months, the journal's influence on Amelia grew stronger. It was no longer a mere repository of memories, but a mirror reflecting her innermost self. One evening, as autumn winds rattled the window panes and the world outside turned a melancholic gold, the journal revealed a memory that sent shivers down her spine. The entry described a time when she had been forced to leave behind a cherished part of herself, a painful farewell that had been buried under layers of routine and obligation. The memory was raw, filled with the bitter taste of loss and the heavy scent of regret. For years, she had locked away this part of her past, convinced that it was too painful to revisit. But the journal, with its uncanny ability to retrieve what was forgotten, beckoned her to face the shadows. Haunted by the truth, Amelia embarked on a journey inward. She spent long hours sitting by her window, tracing the lines of the journal script with trembling fingers. Each word was a key, unlocking locked-away emotions and memories. With every page, she confronted parts of herself that she had long denied, painful, bittersweet, yet inescapably real. During this time, the journal began to reveal not only her personal memories, but also fragments of stories from people she had never met. There were tales of joy and sorrow, of love and despair, each interwoven with her own experiences. It was as if the journal was a repository of collective human experience, a living mosaic of forgotten memories from souls scattered across time. One rainy afternoon, as Amelia sat in her small attic room, surrounded by the soft pitter-patter of rain against the window, the journal began a new entry. The handwriting, more urgent than before, declared, "Not all memories are meant to be remembered. Some are lost so that the future may bloom unburdened by the weight of the past. But beware, for in the garden of forgotten dreams, even the sweetest blossom may hide a thorn." The message struck a chord deep within her. It was as if the journal was warning her, urging her to tread carefully as she delved deeper into the recesses of memory. Determined to understand the full extent of its mystery, Amelia began researching the symbols on the cover and the origins of similar artifacts. Her journey led her to ancient manuscripts and whispered legends of enchanted journals that chose their bearers and recorded memories that had been forsaken by time. In the pages of a dusty tome at the local library, she discovered a myth, a tale of a journal crafted by a forgotten sage who believed that every human soul harbored memories, too painful or beautiful to be lost forever. This journal, passed down through generations by those who dared to confront their past, was said to possess the power to heal wounds, but only if its secrets were understood and embraced. The more Amelia read, the more she realized that her own journey was intertwined with the legacy of this enchanted journal. It was not merely a magical object, it was a guide, a confidant, and sometimes a harsh mirror reflecting the truths one had long buried. With each new revelation, she felt the weight of responsibility growing upon her shoulders. The journal was offering her a chance, not only to remember, but to forgive, to heal, and ultimately to transform. Determined to embrace the healing potential of the journal, Amelia resolved to follow the memories as they unfolded. She began by revisiting the places described in the entries. On a crisp winter morning, she traveled to a small coastal village mentioned in one of the journal's more whimsical pages. There, by a windswept cliff overlooking a tumultuous sea, she found remnants of a long-forgotten picnic spot. A weathered bench, a scattering of wildflowers that had once danced in the breeze. Sitting on that bench, she closed her eyes and allowed the memories to wash over her. The sound of crashing waves and the faint laughter of a voice she could not place filled her ears. In that moment, she realized that the journal was not a relic of the past, but a living bridge between what once was and what could be reclaimed. It reminded her that even the most painful memories had a role in shaping who she had become. As the days passed, Amelia followed the trail of forgotten memories like a map leading her to hidden treasures buried in the sands of time. She reconnected with estranged friends, visited old haunts, and even reached out to distant relatives whose lives had been touched by the same shared history. Each encounter was like a puzzle piece clicking into place, revealing a picture of a life rich with both light and shadow. One particularly poignant memory recounted a moment of reconciliation between two old friends who had drifted apart over a misunderstanding. Inspired by the journal, Amelia arranged a meeting between her estranged friend, Daniel, and herself. In the warm light of a small cafe, amidst soft murmurs of conversation and the clink of porcelain cups, they spoke honestly about their past, their regrets, and the possibility of renewal. The meeting was cathartic, a reminder that even the deepest wounds could heal with time, understanding, and a willingness to remember. The journal, in turn, continued to reveal memories that spanned generations. It was as if each page was a thread connecting lives, weaving a tapestry of collective human experience. Amelia marveled at how individual stories of love, loss, joy, and sorrow could come together to create something greater. A reminder that every forgotten memory had the power to illuminate the present. Spring arrived with the gentle promise of renewal. The heavy winter snow melted away, revealing a landscape bursting with color and life. Amelia found herself transformed by the journey she had undertaken. The journal had not only unearthed forgotten memories, but it also helped her rediscover parts of herself that she had long neglected. Its pages, filled with both beauty and pain, had become a mirror reflecting the myriad facets of her soul. One early morning, as the first rays of sunlight danced on dew-covered grass, Amelia sat at her desk with the journal open before her. The pages were filled with a harmonious blend of her own scribbled notes and the elegantly inscribed memories that had guided her journey. In that moment, she felt a deep sense of gratitude for the mysterious artifact that had shown her that the past, with all its complexity, was an essential part of who she was. Determined to honor the legacy of the journal, Amelia began to write her own entries, not just as a record of the past, but as a testament to the beauty of transformation. She wrote about forgiveness, about the courage to face one's deepest fears, and about the endless capacity of the human heart to heal. With each word, she wove together the threads of memory and hope, creating a narrative that was both deeply personal and universally resonant. One entry, written in the soft light of a late afternoon, read, "In the tapestry of life, every forgotten memory is a star waiting to be rediscovered. The past may be shrouded in shadow, but it is also illuminated by the light of our resilience and the promise of new beginnings." As Amelia penned these words, she sensed the journal pulsing with a quiet energy, a silent affirmation that the journey of memory was never truly complete. Just as the seasons changed, so too did the pages of the journal continue to fill with new recollections, each one a testament to the enduring power of memory. Years later, the journal found its way back to the same old bookshop, resting once more on a forgotten shelf. Its pages were now a mosaic of countless lives, memories reclaimed, wounds healed, and hearts made whole. Those who discovered it after Amelia often remarked on its uncanny ability to resonate with their own hidden histories, to remind them that every life was a tapestry woven with threads of both joy and sorrow. Amelia, now wiser and more compassionate, had dedicated herself to helping others uncover their own forgotten memories. She became a storyteller, a guardian of lost whispers, traveling from town to town, sharing the lessons of the journal and guiding people on their journeys of self-discovery. In her quiet, steadfast way, she reminded everyone that the act of remembering was not a burden, but a gift, a way to honor the past while embracing the promise of the future. And so the journal continued its eternal work, a silent chronicler of the human experience. With each new soul it touched, it gathered fragments of lives once lived, breathing new life into memories that had long been buried beneath the weight of time. Its pages, forever shifting and evolving, served as a reminder that even in forgetting, there is beauty, and in remembering, there is hope. In the end, the journal was more than a mere book. It was a living testament to the resilience of the human spirit, an archive of the forgotten, and a beacon for those seeking to reclaim the lost parts of themselves. For every memory it held was a reminder that every moment, no matter how fleeting, was a precious thread in the grand tapestry of life. In the nearby village of Evershade, elders told tales of the cursed meadow with trembling voices. They spoke of an ageless enchantress, a maiden scorned and betrayed, who in the throes of heartbreak cast a grievous spell upon the land. The curse was meant to eternally bind the memory of her lost love to the very soil, so that every full moon, as the curse reawakened, the meadow would burst into a fleeting, sorrowful beauty. Yet the magic was unpredictable. Over time, it became a beacon for troubled souls, and many claimed that those who stood among the spectral blooms would see not only visions of the past, but also the shimmering possibilities of what might have been. The villagers avoided the meadow at night, fearing that its hypnotic glow would call forth restless spirits and doom them to an unending cycle of grief. Eleanor Ravenscroft was not one to heed whispered warnings. A scholar and botanist with an insatiable curiosity for the arcane, she had long been fascinated by legends that defied explanation. When she first heard of the moonlit meadow, from tattered journals hidden in the archives of Evershade's crumbling library, her heart quickened with a mix of dread and wonder. Determined to unearth the truth behind the cursed bloom, Elena packed her leather satchel with notebooks, ancient texts, and a heart full of resolve. Though the villagers cautioned her with anxious glances and somber words, she set out one crisp autumn evening, drawn by the promise of mysteries whispered on the wind. The path to the meadow was as treacherous as it was lonely. Under the skeletal branches of ancient trees, Elena trudged along a winding dirt road that led her deeper into the forest. Each step seemed to echo with the memories of those long past, and even the cool night air carried a hint of melancholy. As she neared her destination, the sky unfurled a vast tapestry of midnight blues, and a solitary full moon ascended, heralding the time when the curse would stir. Elena arrived at the edge of the meadow just as the moon reached its zenith. For a long, suspended moment, she beheld nothing but a barren clearing, its ground scarred and unyielding. Then, as if stirred by an unseen hand, the first ghostly flower began to unfurl. Its petals, delicate and translucent, shimmered in the lunar glow. One by one, more blossoms emerged, each exuding a pale, ethereal light that painted the landscape in hues of silver and blue. The air was redolent with a fragrance that was at once sweet and sorrowful, and with every inhalation, Elena felt memories not her own whisper against her mind. Mesmerized, she knelt upon the cool earth, her fingers trembling as she reached out to touch one of the blossoms. The moment her skin brushed the petal, a surge of emotion, both deep grief and unspoken longing, raced through her veins. In that instant, visions flooded her consciousness. She saw a young woman, eyes brimming with tears, waiting by a moonlit lake. She glimpsed a man, his features softened by regret, lost in the embrace of shadows. She felt the pain of promises broken and hearts betrayed. The meadow was not merely blooming, it was recounting a saga of lost love and eternal remorse. Haunted by the vivid visions, Elena spent the following days poring over ancient manuscripts and local folklore. In a crumbling diary recovered from the village's archive, she found the fragmented tale of Isolde, a woman of radiant beauty and fierce passion who had once been the darling of a nobleman. When the man's affections turned cold and his promises became lies, Isolde, driven by despair and betrayal, invoked a forbidden incantation. With trembling resolve, she cursed the land where they had met, condemning it to forever bloom only under the sorrowful light of the moon. The cursed meadow, as the diary recounted, would be a living memorial to her shattered heart, a place where the beauty of love was forever tainted by grief. As Elena read, she recognized a strange kinship with Isolde's story. Though separated by time and circumstance, Elena too had known the sting of betrayal and the ache of dreams lost. This connection deepened her resolve to uncover every facet of the curse's dark legacy. By night, she returned to the meadow, notebook in hand, documenting the subtle changes in the blossoms and the shifting shadows that danced at the periphery of the light. With each visit, the visions grew more intense, revealing not only the sorrow of Isolde's past, but also the myriad possibilities of alternate lives, paths that might have led to healing, redemption, or further despair. The more time Elena spent amid the cursed blooms, the more the line between reality and illusion began to blur. At first, she believed the visions were mere echoes of old memories, fragmented by the spell. But soon the meadow's magic seeped into her soul. Nights became restless vigils filled with spectral apparitions and whispered voices. In one particularly vivid encounter, as she traced her fingers over a particularly radiant blossom, the spectral form of Isolde herself materialized before her eyes, a figure draped in sorrow, her gaze filled with both admonishment and despair. "Why do you wander here, child of a broken past?" the apparition murmured, her voice like a lament carried on the wind. "Do you seek to mend what has been shattered, or do you simply long to feel the pain of a love unfulfilled?" The words cut through Elena like a knife, and she found herself both terrified and mesmerized by the ghostly presence. In the days that followed, her dreams were haunted by Isolde's anguished visage and the ceaseless lament of the meadow. The curse, it seemed, had a will of its own, a sentient sorrow that reached out to those who dared trespass its domain. And yet, beneath the crushing weight of despair lay a promise of catharsis. Elena sensed that the curse was not merely a punishment, but a challenge, a test of one's capacity to embrace the entirety of human emotion, to acknowledge both the pain and the beauty interlaced within. Determined to free herself from the meadow's relentless hold, Elena resolved to seek a way to lift the curse. She traveled to distant towns and consulted scholars, mystics, and even itinerant seers. In the attic of an ancient manor, she discovered a weathered grimoire that contained cryptic incantations and ritual instructions. The text spoke of a rite of moon's mercy, a dangerous and arduous ceremony that, if performed under a rare celestial alignment, might soothe the anguished spirit of the cursed meadow and release it from its eternal lament. But the rite came with a dire cost. To invoke the spell, one must offer a sacrifice, a piece of one's own heart, a memory so precious that its loss would forever alter the fabric of the soul. Elena hesitated. How could she dare to surrender part of herself, to willingly erase a fragment of her past? And yet, the thought of living under the perpetual shadow of sorrow was a fate she could not bear. After nights of anguished deliberation and restless dreams filled with Isolde's mournful gaze, Elena made her choice. She would perform the rite of moon's mercy, not only to free herself, but also to grant peace to the tormented spirit of the meadow. With a heavy heart and a soul tempered by sorrow and resolve, she gathered the rare ingredients: moonlit dew, a silvered chalice carved from an ancient oak, and a lock of her own hair, and set a date for the ceremony on the night of the prophesied celestial convergence. On the eve of the destined night, The sky was a canvas of deep indigo, punctuated by countless stars and the radiant glow of a swollen moon. Elena returned to the cursed meadow, her steps measured and resolute. The field lay in wait, a vast, desolate expanse that would soon burst into spectral life as the curse awakened. Around her, the air pulsed with anticipation, as though the very earth held its breath in expectation. She set up the ritual circle, carefully arranging the enchanted tokens and drawing intricate symbols in the soft, yielding soil. As the moon climbed higher, its silver light touched every corner of the clearing, and the ghostly blossoms stirred, unfurling in slow, mesmerizing motion. The sight was both breathtaking and heartbreaking, a delicate dance of light and shadow, beauty intertwined with despair. Standing at the center of the circle, Elena raised the silver chalice and recited the ancient incantation inscribed in the grimoire. Her voice trembled as it wove through the night air, carrying with it the weight of centuries of sorrow and the hope of redemption. The ritual reached its crescendo as she released a single tear, a droplet that shimmered like liquid starlight, into the chalice, symbolizing the sacrifice of a cherished memory. In that moment, time itself seemed to still. The meadow quivered, and the blooms pulsed as if imbued with a living heartbeat. A sudden gust of wind whipped through the clearing, and the spectral figure of Isolde reappeared, her eyes filled with a tumult of emotions. "You dare to offer your heart's treasure for the sake of healing?" she intoned, her voice echoing like a dirge. "What will you sacrifice, Elena Ravenscroft, to break the chains of this eternal sorrow?" The air vibrated with otherworldly energy as the ghost of Isolde circled the ritual circle. The spectral enchantress, both tragic and fearsome, seemed to weigh Elena's sacrifice with eyes that had witnessed centuries of pain. In that charged silence, Elena spoke not only with her voice, but with the depth of her soul. "I offer not only my memory, but also my hope," Elena declared, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions raging within. "For too long has this curse chained the beauty of life to endless grief. I will give what I must so that the land may be freed from this relentless sorrow, and so that I too may be reborn." As her words echoed into the night, the blossoms around her pulsed in unison. A spectral light surged from the heart of the meadow, and the spirit of the curse seemed to waver. For a brief, heart-stopping moment, the veil between worlds grew thin. Elena felt herself teetering on the edge of oblivion as memories, both her own and those of the long-departed Isolde, flashed before her eyes. Moments of tender love, fierce betrayal, and the quiet dignity of acceptance. In that crucible of emotion, the curse itself began to fracture. The ghostly blooms shimmered and trembled, their pallid light intensifying as the ancient magic of the rite took hold. Isolde's form flickered, her mournful eyes softening, as though the weight of her grief was finally lifting. "Your sacrifice, your truth. It is a balm to this wounded land," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rush of wind and the beating of 1,000 unseen hearts. Then, with a final, sorrowful glance, the spirit of Isolde dissolved into a cascade of starlight, her essence dispersing like mist on the wind. The cursed magic that had long held the meadow in thrall began to ebb, its oppressive force melting away under the healing glow of the ritual. As the first rays of dawn crept over the horizon, the moonlit meadow underwent a transformation. The ghostly blossoms, once bound to the curse of sorrow, dimmed their spectral glow and shifted toward a softer, gentler radiance. The land, no longer shackled by ancient despair, began to breathe anew, a delicate promise of redemption emerging from the ashes of a haunted past. Elena, weary but resolute, remained at the center of the ritual circle. Though she had paid dearly for her sacrifice, a cherished memory now faded from her mind. She felt an unfamiliar warmth radiate from within. The curse had not been eradicated entirely. Its echoes still lingered in the soil and in the twilight murmur of the breeze. Yet in that moment of fragile rebirth, there was hope. The meadow, once a symbol of perpetual mourning, had been given a chance to heal. In the days that followed, the villagers of Evershade found that the cursed field no longer instilled dread. Instead, as the moon rose each night, the meadow would bloom with a quiet, gentle light, a reminder of both past sorrow and the possibility of renewal. Elena herself became a quiet guardian of this transformed land, her journey an enduring testament to the power of sacrifice, love, and the unyielding strength of the human spirit. Years later, the tale of the cursed meadow that bloomed only in moonlight had evolved into a legend of healing and transformation. Travelers and seekers, drawn by whispers of a field that bore witness to the duality of grief and hope, would journey to Evershade to witness the miraculous transformation. The meadow, still touched by the ancient curse, yet forever altered by Elena's sacrifice, became a living memorial to the delicate interplay of light and darkness in every heart. In quiet evenings, as the silver light of the full moon bathed the land, villagers and wanderers alike would gather at the edge of the field. They spoke in hushed tones of a time when sorrow reigned, and of a woman who had dared to offer her very soul in the name of healing. They recounted the vision of ghostly blossoms, the spectral figure of Isolde, and the bittersweet triumph of a curse undone by love and sacrifice. Elena, now aged and wise, often strolled the meadow at night. Though a piece of her past had been surrendered to the curse, she had gained a deeper understanding of life's fragile beauty. In the gentle glow of the moon, she could almost hear the soft echoes of Isolde's final words, a promise that even the darkest curses could be transformed into beacons of hope, if only one had the courage to face them. In the years that followed, the moonlit meadow became more than a place of myth. It was a sanctuary where the boundaries between sorrow and beauty, past and future, intertwined in an endless dance. Its gentle luminescence served as a reminder that pain and joy were inextricably linked, that every loss bore the seed of renewal, and that even the most cursed of places could one day bloom with hope. The legacy of the cursed meadow endured in the hearts of those who had witnessed its transformation. It became a pilgrimage site for those seeking solace in the quiet magic of the night, a place where one might leave behind a heavy burden and in return receive a fragment of healing. And in the soft light of the moon, as the blossoms opened in a delicate, timeless ritual, the meadow whispered its eternal truth, that every heart, no matter how scarred, has the capacity to find beauty in the darkness and to bloom anew under the gentle, forgiving light of the moon. In a small village on the forest's edge lived a young man named Elon. Curious and restless, Elon was known for wandering beyond the familiar, always searching for hidden truths amid forgotten legends. One late summer afternoon, as the golden light of dusk filtered through ancient oaks, Elon discovered a narrow, overgrown trail that he'd never noticed before. Something about the path stirred an inexplicable pull in his heart, a promise of secrets waiting to be revealed. The trail led him deep into the wilderness until, at its end, he came upon the fabled well. Half swallowed by ivy and shadow, the stone structure radiated an almost magnetic presence. Approaching with both trepidation and wonder, Elon knelt at its edge. Expecting only the reflection of a tired wanderer, he instead saw the surface ripple with 1,000 shimmering hues, as though it held a secret kaleidoscope of realities. Peering into the well, Elon was greeted not by darkness, but by an otherworldly scene. In the liquid mirror, he witnessed a version of his familiar world transformed. The forest was aglow with surreal light, the leaves a brilliant mix of emerald and amethyst, and the sky overhead shimmered with colors he could scarcely name. In this alternate reality, every detail was the same, yet profoundly different. The village he knew was reimagined. a place where people carried an air of mystery and wisdom, and every corner pulsed with vibrant, unexplained magic. Elon saw his own reflection too, but it was not quite his own. In that mirrored life, he was older, his eyes reflecting both the weight of past sorrows and the glimmer of hope for futures yet to be lived. Each flicker in the water told stories of choices made and paths not taken, moments of missed love, unexpected triumphs, and bittersweet farewells. The vision stirred in him a deep recognition, as though the well were calling him to acknowledge not only what was lost, but also what might yet be reclaimed. Troubled by the dazzling images, Elon left the well that evening with a mind awash in questions. Was the vision real or merely a projection of his deepest desires and regrets? The villagers dismissed his tale as fanciful, yet Elon felt a magnetic certainty that the well was a portal, a window into a life that might have been. Night after night he returned, each visit revealing new layers of meaning, a dance of light and shadow on the water's surface that seemed to chart the course of his soul. In quiet moments beneath starlight, Elon would sit by the well and contemplate the visions. He learned that what he saw was not a fixed future, but a myriad of possibilities, a reflection of the infinite choices that lay hidden within every human heart. The well, it seemed, was not simply showing him another world, but inviting him to understand the delicate interplay between regret and hope, between fate and free will. As autumn's chill crept into the air, the visions began to take on a sharper clarity. One evening, as swirling mists embraced the ancient trees, the well presented Elon with a stark dichotomy. In its depths, two distinct paths emerged, one path bathed in warm, golden luminescence, promising creativity, fulfillment, and love. The other shrouded in cool, silvery shadows, a mirror of loss, despair, and roads left untraveled. Elon felt the gravity of that moment press upon him. The two visions were not merely images, but representations of the divergent futures that his choices could yield. With his heart pounding in his ears, he understood that the well was offering him a choice, a gentle yet persistent urging to embrace the full spectrum of his potential. That night, with the quiet of the forest as his witness, Elon vowed to face both the light and the darkness within himself. Driven by a newfound determination, Elon left his village to seek the wisdom behind the mysterious well. His quest led him to ancient ruins, secluded monasteries, and remote libraries where scholars preserved lost lore. He learned that the well was part of an age-old network of portals, mystical conduits through which the energies of countless alternate realities flowed. Each portal, the text said, served as a mirror for the human soul, inviting its seeker to reconcile with both past failures and future dreams. During his travels, Elon met a host of fascinating figures: a venerable mystic whose eyes held the secrets of time, a wandering poet who chronicled lives that intertwined with destiny, and a reclusive scholar who had dedicated decades to unraveling the mysteries of the multiverse. Each encounter enriched Elon's understanding and deepened his resolve to learn the true nature of his existence. In a remote mountain village, Elon encountered Lyrian, a mystic renowned for her profound insight into the nature of reality. With a calm, luminous presence, Lyrian explained that the well was a mirror of the soul, reflecting not just an alternate external world, but the infinite possibilities inherent in every choice. "We are each the sum of our decisions," she whispered, "and the well shows us that every moment births countless variations of what might be." Under Lyrian's tutelage, Elon learned to meditate and interpret the symbols that danced upon the well's surface. He discovered that his alternate self, the one he saw in the mirror, was not an enemy or an idealized version to be envied, but a part of him embodying both his strengths and his vulnerabilities. In embracing this duality, Elon began to see that the power to shape one's destiny lay within the acceptance of every facet of one's being. The more Elon understood the nature of the well, the more he felt compelled to experience its power firsthand. One moonlit night, under a sky awash with silver starlight, the well's surface began to glow with an intense radiance. With a mixture of fear and resolve, Elon reached out and touched the cool water. In that singular moment, time seemed to fracture. A brilliant flash enveloped him, and the boundaries between the worlds dissolved. When his vision cleared, Elon found himself standing in the alternate reality he had seen so often. This new world was at once eerily familiar and astonishingly different. The landscape was vibrant, the air perfumed with scents of unknown blossoms, and the sky a tapestry of shifting colors. Here, magic was woven into the fabric of everyday life, and every moment pulsed with the promise of discovery. Elon encountered people who bore his own features, yet carried lives shaped by different choices. In this mirror universe, he met a version of himself who had embraced his creative passions, a self who had forged deep, meaningful connections, and whose eyes shone with quiet wisdom. The alternate world, with its luminous possibilities, challenged his notions of fate and destiny. It was a realm where every choice echoed with significance, and where even the smallest decision could ripple outward into profound change. In the alternate reality, Elon wandered through bustling markets, quiet groves, and ancient libraries, each place offering a glimpse into the myriad ways life could unfold. As he observed the lives of those around him, he found that the people here were more attuned to their inner truth. They embraced both joy and sorrow, success and failure, understanding that each was a necessary thread in the rich tapestry of existence. One evening, while sitting beside a gentle stream under a canopy of starlight, Elon engaged in a long conversation with his alternate self, a man who radiated both warmth and a deep-seated melancholy. They spoke of dreams realized and dreams deferred, of love found and love lost. Through this intimate dialogue, Elon came to see that the alternate reality was not a perfect utopia, nor a nightmarish illusion. It was simply another facet of life, equally rich with possibility and imperfection. The two versions of Elon exchanged stories as if they were reflections in a still pond. With each shared memory, the boundary between them blurred, and Elon realized that the choices he had made in his own world were inextricably linked to those that blossomed in this mirror realm. The well had not only bridged two realities, but had also united the many voices of his inner self. Upon returning to his own reality, guided back by the same mysterious pull that had brought him through the portal, Elon carried with him a profound understanding of the nature of choice. The well's lessons had transformed him. No longer did he view his past mistakes as irreversible scars. Instead, he saw them as essential brushstrokes in the grand painting of his life. Every regret and every success was a vital part of the mosaic that made him who he was. In his village, Elon began to share his experiences. He spoke of the well's shimmering reflection of alternate realities and of the delicate balance between fate and free will. His words resonated deeply with those who listened, inspiring them to explore the unexplored corners of their own hearts. People began to seek the well, each hoping to catch a glimpse of the infinite possibilities that lay hidden within their choices. The well, in turn, continued to reflect lives filled with both light and shadow, offering a quiet sanctuary for those willing to face the full spectrum of human experience. Years passed, and Elon's journey became a cherished legend in his village. He kept a journal, rich with detailed accounts of his travels, the people he met, and the visions granted by the well. His writings painted a portrait of life as an endless tapestry of choices, each thread connecting one possibility to another. The well's reflection of alternate realities was not an escape from life's burdens, but a reminder that every moment held the seed of transformation. Elon's manuscripts were shared from generation to generation, encouraging others to embrace both the beauty and the sorrow of existence. The well itself grew in renown, attracting seekers from far-off lands who wished to confront their inner truths. In quiet evenings, villagers would gather near its mossy edge, recounting tales of lives lived in parallel, of roads diverged and reconciled. The well had become a sacred symbol, a mirror of the human soul, forever urging its beholders to dream, to reflect, and to choose with courage. On one serene autumn evening, when the air was cool and the sky a canvas of twilight hues, an elderly Elan returned to the well for one last time. With a heart brimming with gratitude and wisdom, he knelt beside the ancient stones. The water, as if recognizing an old friend, shimmered with the light of countless lives and choices. In that quiet moment, Elan saw his reflection not just as a solitary figure, but as a mosaic of all the paths he had taken and all the paths he might have ventured. Tears welled in his eyes as the vision swirled before him, a breathtaking montage of love and loss, hope and despair, success and failure. In the gentle murmur of the water, he heard the soft echo of the well's eternal message, that life is not defined by a single reality, but by the infinite interplay of all possibilities. In accepting every facet of his being, every choice that had led him to joy and sorrow alike, Elan discovered a peace that transcended time and space. With that final, luminous reflection, Elan whispered his farewell to the well, a silent promise that he would carry its lessons within his heart until the end of his days. Long after Elan had become but a memory in the village's lore, the well continued to stand as a guardian of infinite realities. Its ancient stones bore witness to the passage of countless souls, each leaving behind echoes of their choices and dreams. The well's reflective surface remained a portal, a timeless reminder that every life is a delicate dance of decisions, where each moment births an array of possibilities. Generations later, new seekers ventured into the forest, drawn by the legends of a well that reflected not only what is, but what could be. They found solace in its shimmering depths, discovering in its mirror the power to heal, to inspire, and to awaken the hidden potential within. In the rustling of the leaves and the soft whisper of the wind, the spirit of the well endured, a beacon for all who dared to dream and to choose, knowing that the myriad reflections of their lives were both a gift and a guide. For in that enchanted well, every reflection was a promise that no matter how divergent the paths may seem, every life is interconnected. A vast tapestry woven with the threads of infinite possibility, where even the smallest choice can ripple through the cosmos, forever altering the course of destiny. In a time when legends still wove their magic through quiet country lanes and ancient manors, there existed an heirloom, a mask of exquisite craftsmanship said to reveal not one's outward visage, but the very essence of one's soul. Passed down in a family whose lineage was steeped in mystery and secret rites, the mask, known among whispered circles as the Mask of Veritas, was rumored to have been created by a master artisan with a broken heart. It was forged in silver and adorned with delicate filigree that glinted like starlight, its surface seeming to shift with every subtle emotion. Some believed it was a gift meant to help the bearer see their true self, both the light and the shadow that lay hidden beneath years of pretense. Others warned it was a curse that could expose the soul's darkest secrets. In hushed tones by candlelight, the tale of the Mask of Veritas had been passed down from one generation to the next, a secret entrusted only to those deemed ready to face the unvarnished truth of who they truly were. Marina Bellamy had always been a quiet, reflective soul. Growing up in a stately old manor in the sleepy village of Wexley, she had listened to her grandmother's bedtime stories about magic, memory, and the strange relics of the family. Yet nothing had prepared her for the day she uncovered the mask in a forgotten chest in the attic. A chest bound in worn leather and filled with relics of a bygone era. The mask, wrapped in a faded velvet cloth, immediately called out to her. Its surface shimmered in the dim light, and intricate patterns seemed to pulse with an inner life, as though the mask itself were aware of the secrets it harbored. With trembling hands, Marina lifted the mask from its resting place. The accompanying note, scrawled in elegant script, read, "May this mask reveal the truth that lies beneath the surface, that every hidden sorrow and secret hope be laid bare. Wear it with courage and know thyself." The words stirred something deep within her, a blend of anticipation and apprehension that hinted at the transformative journey that awaited. Late that evening, after the manor's corridors had quieted to a soft hush, Marina retired to her private study. With her heart pounding in her chest, she retrieved the mask and, after a moment's hesitation, pressed it gently to her face. In that instant, the world around her seemed to slow. The light dimmed, and a strange internal silence filled her senses. As she gazed into the mirror across the room, she expected to see her familiar reflection. Instead, she saw a shifting montage, a collage of her inner self that flickered like a film reel. At first, the image was abstract, fleeting shapes and colors that defied definition. Then gradually, more distinct features emerged. Moments of joy and sorrow intertwined, glimmers of hidden dreams and long-forgotten regrets. She saw a confident, radiant woman who had once laughed without fear, and beside her, a shadowed figure representing the parts of herself she had long tried to hide. Every nuance of her true nature was revealed, from the kindness in her eyes to the secret insecurities that had festered in silence. Marina removed the mask, her hands shaking. The experience was overwhelming, a profound confrontation with her own soul. She spent the rest of the night scribbling feverish notes in her journal, trying to capture the shifting images and the raw emotions they stirred within her. In the days that followed, Marina became obsessed with the mask's power. She would wear it in the solitude of her study, watching as the image in the mirror changed with her mood and memories. On sunlit afternoons, she saw visions of her childhood. Laughter in the garden with her siblings, the gentle touch of her grandmother's hand, moments of innocence that had faded with time. On stormy nights, however, the mask revealed darker reflections. Hidden fears, the weight of unspoken sorrows, and the quiet resignation that had seeped into her heart after years of loss. Her introspection soon spilled into her interactions with others. Friends and family began to notice that Marina had changed. Her eyes shone with a new depth, as if they carried both a spark of hope and a burden of truth. Some admired her newfound openness, while others whispered that the mask had awakened something in her, something not entirely light. Marina herself wrestled with conflicting emotions. The mask had given her a glimpse of her true self, but it had also exposed vulnerabilities she had long hidden from the world. Marina decided to share the mask's secret with those she trusted. At a small gathering in the drawing room of the manor, she invited her dearest friends to witness the mask's magic. One by one, each person was asked to gaze into a handheld mirror while wearing the mask. To their astonishment, each mirror reflected a different image, a glimpse into the wearer's inner life, a personal portrait painted by their own hopes and regrets. Henry, a lifelong friend with a jovial demeanor, saw in his reflection the tender vulnerability that lay beneath his confident exterior, a reminder of a love lost in his youth. Clara, a quiet artist with a soul of fire, saw a riot of colors and emotions, a canvas of passion and sorrow that she had long tried to capture in her paintings. And even Marcus, a stoic man who rarely let his emotions show, caught a glimpse of a flicker of loneliness and longing that he had hidden deep within. The room filled with gasps and murmurs as each person shared what they had seen. The mask had become more than a mystical artifact. It was a mirror to the soul, revealing the truths that people had long kept secret. For some, the revelations were cathartic. For others, they were painful reminders of scars that had never fully healed. As the mass influence spread, Marina became determined to understand its origins. She dove into the family archives, uncovering dusty journals, letters, and portraits that hinted at a long line of ancestors who had possessed the mask. According to an old diary written by her great-grandmother, the mask was crafted by a mysterious artisan whose identity was lost to legend. The artisan had been commissioned by a noble family torn apart by betrayal and sorrow. In a final act of desperate artistry, he had imbued the mask with a potent magic, one that could reveal the innermost truth of its wearer, ensuring that the legacy of the family's triumphs and tragedies would never be forgotten. The diary recounted that the mask was intended as a tool for healing, a way for the family to confront their own demons and to understand the complexities of love, loss, and hope. Yet it also warned that the mask's revelations came with a price. Those who gazed into its depths might find themselves overwhelmed by truths too painful to bear, forever changed by the unmasking of their souls. Marina's discovery of these family secrets brought a mixture of pride and sorrow. She felt connected to her ancestors in a way she had never known, a link forged in the shared struggle to embrace one's true self. But the knowledge also deepened her fear of the mask's power. Was she prepared to confront the entirety of her own truth, with all its beauty and its unbearable pain? Tormented by questions and driven by a longing for self-understanding, Marina embarked on a solitary journey of introspection. Each evening, she would retreat to a quiet, candlelit room in the manor and don the mask, allowing it to guide her into the depths of her memory. The experience was both liberating and harrowing. In the flickering light, she would see visions of her childhood, the innocence of early dreams, and the gradual erosion of hope that came with life's inevitable hardships. In one particularly intense session, Marina relived the moment of her father's passing, a memory she had locked away deep within her heart. The mask revealed not only the grief of that day, but also the silent courage that had carried her through years of loss. Tears flowed freely as she confronted the raw, unfiltered truth of her emotions. And in that catharsis, she found a strange comfort, a realization that her pain was not a weakness, but a testament to the love and life she had known. Through these nightly journeys, Marina began to compile a detailed record in her journal, a chronicle of her inner transformations, a tapestry woven from moments of joy, sorrow, and the unexpected beauty that emerged from the depths of vulnerability. The mask, with its ever-shifting reflections, became a trusted companion on her quest to understand herself. It showed her that to truly know oneself was to embrace every facet of one's being, the luminous and the shadowed, the hopeful and the despairing. As months passed, the transformative power of the mask began to affect Marina's relationships. Friends and family noticed a change in her. She was more open, more honest, yet also more fragile. The truths revealed by the mask while healing also carried a weight, a burden of memory that sometimes left her visibly exhausted. In her moments of clarity, she would speak of the mask's dual nature, its power to reveal and its potential to wound. One cold winter evening, during a family gathering in the manor's grand hall, Marina's younger brother, Thomas, approached her with a mixture of concern and curiosity. "Marina," he whispered, "I have seen the change in you. The mask, it has shown you things, but is it not also tearing you apart?" His words, heavy with worry, struck a chord deep within her. That night, as she sat by the roaring fire, she contemplated the mask's true cost. Every revelation, she realized, came at the price of a memory, a piece of the soul that could never be restored. And yet she could not turn away from the mirror of her own truth. Determined to balance the healing gifts of the mask with the pain of its revelations, Marina sought out the wisdom of a renowned healer in the region, Madame Celeste, a woman said to possess a rare ability to mend broken spirits. Madame Celeste listened intently as Marina recounted her experiences and the legacy of the enchanted mask. With eyes that shone with gentle understanding, Celeste advised, "True healing lies not in hiding your truth, but in embracing it fully and allowing it to transform you. The mask has shown you the raw, unvarnished beauty of your soul. Now you must learn to weave that truth into your life as a source of strength." Under Madame Celeste's guidance, Marina and her closest confidants gathered one night in a circle in the manor's courtyard. They performed a healing ritual, a gentle ceremony of light and remembrance. Soft music played, and each person shared a story of a painful truth that had been revealed to them. Marina, with the mask set aside, spoke of her journey of self-discovery and the bittersweet revelations it had wrought. As the circle grew warm with shared vulnerability and empathy, the group recited an ancient incantation meant to seal the revelations as a part of their collective strength, rather than a source of endless sorrow. In that moment, Marina felt a subtle shift within her, a sense of integration, as though the myriad fragments of her true self were slowly coalescing into a harmonious whole. The mask had been a mirror, revealing all that lay beneath the surface. Now, through the healing ritual, its power became a source of renewed hope and a promise that every truth, no matter how painful, could lead to growth. In the wake of the ritual, the atmosphere within the manor and among the family grew lighter. Marina continued to wear the mask only in solitude, as a tool for reflection rather than a constant presence. She dedicated herself to chronicling her journey. Her journal became a rich tapestry of raw emotion, poetic insights, and the quiet celebration of life's duality. The revelations of the mask had transformed her into a beacon of authenticity, inspiring those around her to confront their own hidden truths. Her transformation did not go unnoticed. At local gatherings, at community events, and even in quiet moments of conversation, people spoke of the newfound openness and strength that emanated from her. The mask, once a mysterious heirloom shrouded in sorrow, had become a symbol of liberation, a reminder that to know one's true self was to embrace both the light and the dark, the joy and the sorrow, and to find beauty in the totality of one's being. As the years passed, Marina's journey with the mask became a cherished legend within her family and the wider community. She published her memoir, Reflections Unveiled, a collection of essays, journal entries, and poems that chronicled her voyage into the depths of her own soul. The book touched countless readers, each finding comfort in the shared understanding that every human heart harbors both brilliant light and unspoken shadows. Marina established a small foundation dedicated to the arts and self-exploration, where workshops and retreats encourage others to explore their inner worlds. The foundation, inspired by the transformative power of the mask, became a haven for those seeking to reconcile their past with the promise of a hopeful future. Her family, once burdened by secrets and unspoken truths, began to heal as each member embraced the idea that vulnerability was not a weakness, but a source of genuine strength. In the quiet twilight of her later years, Marina often sat in the garden of the family estate, the mask resting on a velvet cushion beside her, the garden alive with the gentle hum of evening crickets and the soft glow of fireflies, was a sanctuary of memories. Each flower a symbol of a truth once hidden, each breeze a reminder of the delicate dance between light and shadow. As she gazed at the mask, she reflected on the long, arduous journey that had led her to this point. The mask, with its ever-shifting reflections, had been both a mirror and a window, a key that unlocked the vast, intricate chambers of her heart. She knew that the magic of the mask would endure long after she was gone, a legacy of truth, vulnerability, and the eternal promise that every soul, no matter how hidden, carries within it the power to shine. And so, the story of the mask that reveals the wearer's true self became a cherished chapter in the annals of her family, a timeless reminder that to see oneself fully, with all the brilliance and the shadows, is the greatest act of courage, and the truest path to self-discovery. Thus, the chronicle of the enchanted mask lives on, a tale of magic, revelation, and the intricate beauty of the human soul. For as long as there are hearts willing to confront their hidden truths, the mask will continue to shimmer in the light of understanding, reflecting back the eternal, unvarnished essence of who we truly are.